We all get the same 24 hours in a day, right? But somehow people find a way to do so much more with it. They build businesses, they have great family lives, they're in great shape, they're building a legacy, and they somehow at the same time make it look easy. I've always wondered why that is. My name is Brian Koons. You also may know me as the Builder Brian. I'm a Marine Corps veteran, a real estate developer, and a lifelong student of growth. And this is the Builder Nation podcast. This podcast is about figuring out how the best of the best do it, how they leverage their mindset, the systems they use, and the intention they use to live better lives. Because building isn't just about construction, it's about designing your life. So let's get into it. My goal today is to give you the why behind the podcast, what to expect from the show, why you should listen, my why behind what I'm doing, and the story of how I got here to have a podcast that may make sense for you to listen to. To be honest, the motivation behind this is kind of selfish. I'm still actively learning. I'm a 29-year-old who got out of the military at 26 and got into real estate investing, and I'm just trying to figure it all out, right? So there's a lot of testing, a lot of relationship, things that I'm still growing as a person with, and a lot of learning that still needs to get done. So I figured the best way to do that is to document that journey and hopefully bring some tactical takeaways for people that are in similar positions, whether it be that they want to build, a better family life, a better real estate portfolio, whatever it is. This whole show is about fulfillment. There's multiple sections to overall life fulfillment. It's not just how do you build a bigger real estate portfolio, it's all inclusive. So from this show, you can expect that I'm going to continue to get better, bigger, amazing guests on who are living their life in a fulfilling way. I'm not looking for the dude who just has the real estate portfolio. I'm not looking for the chick that just, it looks really good. Like, I want the people who are killing it on every facet. They're in great shape. They have great family lives. They are crushing it in business. And I want to uncover in every episode how they actually use leverage and what that lifestyle design and that lifestyle architecture actually looks like. So my goal isn't just tell me your story. My goal is how are you actually doing it in a way that makes it better for other people? How are you actually doing this in a way that gives people the tangible ways to improve their own lives? So if you are somebody that wants the actual cheat code to fulfillment, if you've heard of the concept of PERMA, positive emotions, engagement, relationships, mastery, and achievement, it's not just one bucket that makes you happy and fulfilled in life. It's multiple. You should listen to this if you want the actual practical frameworks that people who are in the 1% are using on a daily basis, how they've engineered their lives and their families and travel and all of those things to live a life that is enjoyable, not just getting a paycheck. And that's really a big reason for me behind it is I don't necessarily have one specific why behind everything that I'm doing. I am somebody who enjoys the pursuit. I love going to the gym every day. I love going to real estate meetups and just talking to people. I love sitting on my computer and just working and brainstorming and meeting up with people, helping people, adding value, things like that. So for me, that's really been a big part of why I'm doing what I'm doing. I just want to make sure that I'm continuing to grow. To give you some backstory, I grew up in Ohio. I was in the same house until I was 18 years old. I have one brother, parents still together. I had a great family life. There's only so many things I can do to complain about it. Very middle class. No one was super into investing. Finances weren't really talked about. But I left when I turned 18 to join the military. And I had seen my brother join the Navy. And so I kind of knew that I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And instead of going to college and being able to just have this one guess of the exact thing that I knew that I was going to do for the rest of my life, I thought that would be silly to think that I'd be able to figure that out at 18. So it just made sense to join the military instead while I'm still figuring it out. So I ended up wanting to join the military band. I was a tuba player in marching band in high school, and I had noticed that that was generally one of the few things that I think that I was better at than the majority of people. So I went into the recruiter's office wanting to join the military band. I actually failed the audition 4 times before I actually got accepted. And before that, I had joined open contract, which if you've ever done that or heard of somebody doing that, that's one of the stupidest things you can do, joining the military. But I knew that I wanted to join, and I knew that I had faith that I was actually going to be able to get into the band. So ended up joining the Marine Corps band. I passed the audition, went to boot camp in South Carolina right when I turned 18. And then I went over to Virginia Beach for 6 months where I was at the schoolhouse, and then North Carolina for 4 years as a professional tuba player for the Marine Corps band. During that time, I got super into fitness and nutrition while I was in the military. So I was going to school for exercise science, had my personal trainer cert. I had several other certifications through the International Sports Sciences Association. And that had allowed me to get this amazing background And then from there, I actually continued on to get my force fitness instructor certification in the Marine Corps. And that was basically, I got to be the personal trainer for the entire squadron. And I loved it. I loved teaching. I loved helping people understand how they can improve themselves. I was my own guinea pig for a lot of it. And at that point, I had thought that I was going to get out of the military and ended up deciding once again, I don't really know what I want to do yet. I was going to go to school for exercise science, pursue potentially a personal trainer certification, but it just didn't feel like that was the right move. So I stayed in. And from there, I decided to go be a drill instructor in the Marine Corps, which if you don't know what a drill instructor is, they are the ones who just yell at people all day. So going from a band nerd to the guy that people fear in their sleep when they're thinking about going to boot camp, it was a very big change. And so that was a time in my life, that was a huge mental shift. I had so much growth there from a lot of just things that happened. I was not very good at the job at the beginning, and it made it very difficult. So that was some of the lowest points I've had in my life, and I got to grow from it. I was going to anger management classes during that time, and I had a lot of growth there, and I was really, really grateful for it. And also during that time frame, I had gotten into real estate. So somebody mentioned the right thing to me at the right time, and then the market did what it needed to do during 2020, and I was able to get into real estate. I used my VA loan on a fourplex over in San Diego, and from there, I was able to immediately move into the land development space. So I bought some land in San Diego, and the month that something called the Bonus ADU program came out, which was the most progressive land development or real estate development tool in the country, became a thing. I bought that land. My brain exploded. I thought that I was a Jehovah's Witness teaching the gospel of ADU development, and it was so fun. And I enjoyed it. I kind of became this ADU person at different meetups. And from there, I kind of knew, I was like, I know that this real estate thing makes sense. So at that point, I knew that I was getting out of the military. And I ended up working at an architecture firm in San Diego that was specifically dedicated towards ADUs and small urban infill development. I was also doing my own developments at the time. I picked up a couple more properties, and I just loved the space. I loved teaching people, and the company grew extremely fast, going from the 5th employee to we probably had 40, 45 on staff at one point. There was so much growth. The company had over 500 projects while I was there. So I just got so many learning lessons in a very unique space where not only was I learning the legislation, I was learning how to figure out what you could build on property and figure out how to make sure that it could be done. I was also a developer, so I got a very unique position where I was seeing so many projects while also doing my own projects. And that kind of made me a force to be reckoned with in the real estate development space. And so that's what I do all day now. I had left that company. I now do real estate development full time with my own personal development company. And then I teach ADU development as well to people looking to learn it. And that's really my passion, is just teaching people how to leverage real estate development to build better lives, build freedom, build a portfolio, build wealth, build legacy, using it as a tool. There's a bunch out there, but that's the one that I've chosen, and I love helping people with it. So really, at the end of the day, this podcast is just a way for me to continue to grow myself, but figure out the tactics and share those with everyone else who's trying to grow too and build better lives. At the end of the day, I have some pretty simple principles that I really try and live by, and that hopefully this podcast will continue to show as foundational importances for growing. One of them is always adding value. I always ask how I can add and give to somebody else rather than what can I get from this person or this thing. The Marine Corps had a great phrase, always leave something better than you received it. And that just goes in every situation. I think that adding value as much as possible will pay dividends every single time, hands down. I also think that it's really important to listen to omens. I believe that almost everything that's happened, from the timing of things to the financial positions I was in, to the partnerships that I found, it only came from when something kind of felt like it was the right thing to do. I actually took some action on it. I think a lot of people know the answer to the question, but they don't actually take the action in order to get there. And I think that's really important. I also think that it's incredibly important to focus on the foundations. So health, wealth, relationships, there's certain things where as long as you focus on those day to day, it's pretty hard to be generally unhappy with life. And the last thing is just to always keep building, always keep learning. I don't think that there's any point where somebody can say, I'm good. I've learned everything I need to know. And I think that most people who are listening to this are people that want to continue learning. They want to continue growing. I don't think they ever want to stop working. I just think that they want to figure out how to continue to get closer and closer to working on things that they enjoy every moment of every day. So at the end of the day, that's what this podcast is. It's a tactical philosophy for life architecture. It's about learning how to live intentionally and use leverage wisely to build a life worth living. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, hit the subscribe button, join the journey, and let's keep building together. That's it for this episode of the Build a Nation podcast. If it gave you something to think about, hit subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who's leveling up. Until next time, keep building.